Atlanta, 2022. A woman named Simone is waiting for her friend outside a coffee shop. A man sits down at the table next to her, uninvited. He makes a comment about her appearance. She smiles politely and looks back at her phone. He makes another comment. She laughs nervously and looks away. He leans in closer. 3 minutes later, her friend arrives and the man leaves, but not before saying something under his breath that made both women's skin crawl. Afterward, Simone said she knew something was wrong from the very first comment. She just didn't know what to do with that feeling. What she didn't know, and what I'm going to teach you today, is that the man had shown her 10 specific warning signals before her friend even arrived. Every single one of them was visible. None of them were random. I'm Asha, and this is Safety Nest. Here is what most people get wrong about dangerous behavior. They think it appears suddenly, that someone is fine one moment and threatening the next. That is almost never how it works. Dangerous escalation follows a pattern. It has a sequence. And that sequence is almost always preceded by a cluster of observable behavioral signals that appear before anything physical happens. Criminologists call these pre-incident indicators. Law enforcement trainers call them behavioral red flags. Whatever you call them, they are real, they are consistent, and once you know what they look like, you cannot unsee them. Here are the 10 most important ones. Red flag 1, unsolicited personal comments. The moment a stranger makes a personal comment about your appearance, your body, your clothing, or your personal life without any invitation, that is the first red flag. Not because compliments are inherently dangerous, but because an unsolicited personal comment is a boundary test. The person is checking your response. If you react with discomfort and they continue anyway, they have just told you that your discomfort does not register as a stop signal for them. That is critical information. A person who respects boundaries stops when you show discomfort. A person who does not respect boundaries notes your discomfort and continues. Watch what happens after the first comment more than the comment itself. Red flag 2, ignoring verbal no's. This is the most documented pre-violence indicator in research on interpersonal aggression. When someone continues a behavior after you have clearly indicated you want it to stop, verbally, physically, or through body language, they are demonstrating that your stated preferences do not govern their actions. This applies to someone who keeps talking after you've put headphones in, someone who keeps approaching after you've stepped back, someone who keeps asking after you've said no once. The specific action matters less than the pattern. Your boundary was communicated and it was ignored. That pattern, repeated more than once, is one of the clearest danger signals available. Red flag 3, manufactured proximity. This is when someone creates or maintains physical closeness with you that you did not invite and have not encouraged. They sit at your table when other tables are available. They stand closer than the social norm in a space that is not crowded. They move when you move, not to follow you, but to maintain a specific distance from you. Manufactured proximity is different from accidental closeness. The tell is in whether the person adjusts their position to maintain it when you shift. If you move slightly away and they close the gap, that adjustment was deliberate. It means they are managing the distance between you consciously. Red flag 4, unsolicited touching. Any physical contact that you did not invite, a hand on the arm, a touch on the shoulder, a pat on the back, from a stranger or near stranger, is a significant red flag when it occurs in the context of other warning signals. By itself, a touch can be cultural or accidental. In combination with unsolicited comments, ignored boundaries, and manufactured proximity, it is an escalation signal. The person is testing whether physical contact produces a reaction that stops them. If it does not, the contact will escalate. The correct response is an immediate, calm, clear verbal statement. Please don't touch me. The response to that statement tells you everything you need to know about the person's intentions. Red flag 5, blocking exits. This is one of the most serious red flags on this list, and one of the least discussed. When someone positions themselves, consciously or unconsciously, between you and the nearest exit from a space, they have changed the geometry of the interaction in a way that limits your options. A person standing between you and a door, a car pulling up and blocking the pavement, someone moving to stand behind you in a corridor. None of these are always deliberate, but all of them warrant immediate awareness. The moment you notice your exit is restricted, your priority is restoring access to an exit. Move, reposition, change the geometry before anything else. Red flag 6, target glancing. This is a behavior documented extensively in law enforcement training. The repeated, rapid glance at a specific part of your body or your belongings. Not sustained eye contact. Not a long look. A quick, repeated glance that returns to the same location. A pickpocket glances at your bag pocket repeatedly. A person with predatory intent glances at your exits and then back at you repeatedly. The glance itself is almost involuntary, the brain checking and rechecking the target of its attention. It is subtle, it is fast, and once you know what it looks like, you will begin to see it. Red flag 7, charm escalation. This one is counterintuitive because it feels like the opposite of danger. Charm escalation is when someone's friendliness increases at a rate that is disproportionate to how long you have known them. They are immediately overly familiar. They use your name repeatedly. They compliment you excessively. They try to establish a sense of connection or shared history very quickly. Gavin de Becker identified this as one of the primary tools used by people with predatory intent. The rapid deployment of charm to lower your guard, establish trust, and create a social dynamic where refusing them feels rude. Real warmth develops over time. Charm escalation is a technique. The difference is pace. Red flag 8, context incongruence. This is when someone's presence, appearance, or behavior does not fit the environment they are in. A person standing still in a space where everyone else is moving. Someone dressed in a way that is significantly inconsistent with the setting. A person whose stated reason for being somewhere does not match their actual behavior. A man who says he is waiting for a friend but has been there for 40 minutes without checking his phone. Context. Incongruence is one of the signals your gut processes before your conscious mind does, which is why the feeling of something is off often appears before you can explain it. Trust that signal. It is reading context incongruence in real time. Red flag 9, over-explanation. When someone volunteers significantly more justification for their presence or their actions than the situation requires, that is a red flag. A person who explains unprompted why they are in a particular place. A stranger who offers a detailed account of their intentions before you have questioned them. Someone who provides multiple reasons where one would suffice. Honest people rarely feel the need to pre-justify themselves to strangers. Over-explanation is often the brain's attempt to manage the other person's perception proactively, which suggests awareness that their presence or actions might be perceived as threatening. Red flag 10, escalating agitation. This is the final red flag, and the one that most directly precedes physical violence in documented incidents. Escalating agitation is when someone's emotional state visibly increases in intensity over the course of an interaction. Jaw tightening, breathing changing, voice rising, movements becoming faster or more rigid. The critical element is the escalation pattern, not a static level of agitation, but a rising trajectory. A person who is getting progressively more agitated over a short period of time in response to your non-compliance or disengagement is moving toward a threshold. The correct response is not to escalate in return. It is to disengage, create distance, and move toward density and light immediately. Now you have the 10 red flags. The question is what to do when you see them. The answer is not to confront, it is not to accuse, and it is not to wait for the 11th signal before you act. The answer is to trust the pattern and respond to it. 1 red flag is information, 2 red flags is a warning. 3 or more red flags in a single interaction is a signal to disengage, calmly, clearly, and immediately. You do not owe anyone an explanation for why you are leaving a conversation. You do not owe anyone an apology for prioritizing your own safety. The social discomfort of disengaging from an interaction is infinitely preferable to staying in one that has shown you 3 or more of these signals. Simone told me later that she counted 8 of these 10 signals in that 3-minute interaction outside the coffee shop. 8. She had the information. She just did not have the framework to read it. You now have the framework? Share this with one person who needs it. Drop in the comments. Which of the 10 surprised you the most? I will read every single one. Subscribe to Safety Nest for more. Stay aware. Stay safe.